All right, so my name is Jesse Hildebrand, and welcome to Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. For those who don't know, Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants is all about bringing adventure, science, and conservation into classrooms around North America, and hopefully soon the rest of the world as well. We've hosted hangouts from all 7 continents, and with 6 classes here today, thank you so much for helping us grow even more. So I'm going to demute all your microphones so that each class can introduce themselves and then say hi to everyone else, and then I'll introduce our speaker. So first, we've got Miss Searson's class from Douglas, Ontario. Awesome, guys. We have Mr. Hall's class from Toronto. That's an enthusiastic class. Excellent. All right. We've got Miss Haber's class from Montreal.
Hi, everybody. Back up.
Hi, guys. Hi. All right. We've got Miss Martin's class from Brampton, correct?
Hi.
Hi, guys. Hi. And then we have Miss Murray's class. You'll have to demute your own microphone from Ohio. Hi. Perfect, guys. All right. So I'm really excited to introduce our speaker today, too. You guys are all here for her. So joining us live from Victoria is Emily Pendergraft of the Victoria Bug Zoo. For almost 20 years now, the Bug Zoo has been showcasing insects from around the world. And I'm going to turn it over to Emily so she can blow your mind with how neat the life in the undergrowth is. So thank you so much for joining us today, guys, and enjoy and say hi to Emily.
Hi everyone. So yes, my name is Emily. I'm here at the Victoria Bug Zoo in Victoria, BC. I hope if you guys ever have a chance to come over to BC and come to Victoria, you come in and see all our awesome bugs. Everything I'm going to show you is alive. And we are here at the Bug Zoo to show people that bugs are not as scary as some people think they are. Because there's a lot of stories that go around saying that bugs are mean, or even in movies, they always seem like the bad guys, but they're really not. They're truly amazing. So today, what we're going to do is go around the world. We're going to visit every single continent, and I'm going to show you a, oops, I think we're getting the cameras fixed a little bit. But I'm going to show you bugs from every single continent and a few different adaptations and characteristics that make sure that they survive in the continent where they're found. So first, we are going to talk a little bit about insects in general. So can you raise your hands and show me how many fingers, how many legs does an insect have? Okay, I see some 6s there. Good. So an insect has 6 legs. And then how many legs does an arachnid have? An arachnid is like a spider or a scorpion. Raise your hands. How many fingers? So an arachnid, a spider or a scorpion or their relatives, they have 8 legs. Good job, you guys. So
really quick, Emily, sorry to interrupt you. Miss McDonald's class is just joined us. Guys, if you'd be so kind as to mute your microphone just when you're beginning, just so Emily can continue on with the presentation, that would be awesome. Thank you guys so much. Emily, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. I saw that. I wasn't sure what was happening. Okay. So, all right, guys. You heard how many legs an insect has and how many legs an arachnid has. So, we're going to talk about how each of them get bigger, because we just grow bigger as we get older, but insects and arachnids and other arthropods, even like a crab or a shrimp, they have an exoskeleton. And an exoskeleton is this hard coating on the outside, think of it kind of like an eggshell, and they actually can't grow that exoskeleton. So to get bigger, they have to do something called molting, almost how snakes will shed their skin. So they have to take off that outer layer of their body, that hard cuticle, and then their new exoskeleton underneath is nice and soft, and normally what they do is they swallow a whole bunch of air, puff themselves up really big, and then they can grow into that new exoskeleton. So here's an example of an exoskeleton. This one is from a giant stick bug. We're going to see a live one in just a bit. But this is what it looks like when the insect takes off its exoskeleton. So you can see it's just the empty shell of the insect. So it's taken this off. It does have a new exoskeleton underneath that eventually will get hard, and then it can go around and do its business, walking around and eating and whatever else a stick bug does. And I also have an exoskeleton from a tarantula, because all arthropods, they do this. They molt their exoskeletons. So this is a very pretty, colorful tarantula exoskeleton, but this is from a baboon tarantula, and you can see it comes off in one complete piece. It has all the legs, it has the body, and everything on it. So this is what it looks like when a tarantula takes off its exoskeleton. Hope everyone can see that pretty well. Okay, so now that we talked about insects and arachnids in general, we're going to start our tour of the world. And we're going to start in Australia, so the other side of the world. And this little insect that I have is very, very cute. It is a type of stick insect. Let's make sure everyone can see that. Oh, isn't it adorable? So this little stick insect is called a spiny Australian stick insect. And you can see it kind of looks like a dead leaf. It is a stick insect, even though it looks kind of like a dead leaf. But all stick insects have really great camouflage. That is their main defense. Their main way to make sure that no predators eat them is just to pretend to be something else. So this one right here, you can see, is pretending to be a little dead leaf. And then when it curls its little tail up like this, you see that? It's actually pretending to be a scorpion. It is mimicking a scorpion because scorpions can defend themselves by either pinching or stinging. This guy can't. It's just a stick bug. It can't do any of that. But it's pretending to look big and scary just to make sure nothing can eat it. So this one right here is not even full grown. The full grown ones are like 2-3 times bigger than this. But I want to show you a baby because baby bugs are the cutest things ever. So this one's a little juvenile Australian stick insect. And then I've got a baby over here. Just one second. Let me grab it. Oh my goodness, can we see that? It's tiny. So this tiny, tiny little thing right here is the baby. It will eventually get much, much larger than this, but that's what it looks like as a baby. Oh, it's walking around everywhere. So teeny tiny, and these guys sometimes are born inside ant colonies. So that's why it kind of curls his little bum up like that. He's pretending to look like an ant so he can escape and run around to make sure none of the ants think that it's actually a stick bug. I think they're super cute. They come out this small when they hatch out of their little egg, and then they're going to get much, much larger. And remember, they do that by molting their exoskeleton and getting bigger with every single molt. All right, so that was the insect from Australia. These guys are found on the east coast of Australia, where there's lots of trees that are kind of prickly. So a lot of them actually have prickles on their body to make sure, again, that their camouflage is really, really good, so they're not eaten by anything else. And now we are going to move over to North America, so where we are here. So if you guys have traveled around North America, or even where you live, you might have seen some of these insects I'm going to show you. So this first one is a very cute beetle. This little guy, he's little and blue. He looks kind of like a blueberry. He's found in the deserts of the USA and Mexico, so kind of Arizona, Texas, down into Mexico, that area. And this guy, he's from the desert, like I said. He's got a very strange defense that normally only works in the desert. So let me see if I can be scary. I'm going to count to 3 and see if I can scare him. 1, 2, 3. Boo! Yes! You guys see that? He's on his back. He's pretending to be dead. Oh, obviously I'm not very scary because he's waking up already. But when he's really scared of a predator, he rolls over onto his back and he can sit there pretending to be dead for over 10 minutes. And that's because in the desert, dead bugs, they don't taste very good. They get all dried out and crispy. No one wants to eat a dead bug. So if he looks like he's dead, usually predators will just pass him on by, not even try to eat him. So very good defense for this little guy. He is adorable as well. Little and blue. I think he looks just like a little blueberry. Super cute. So if you ever go on vacation to the desert with your family, make sure you don't scare these guys too bad because they're just going to be sitting on their back for 10 minutes trying to make sure you don't eat them. All right, we've got one more thing to talk about in North America, and this is something that some of you guys might have seen because a lot of you guys are more east than I am over here. So I'm going to talk about one of the largest moths in North America. It's beautiful. So this right here. It's called a Cecropia silk moth. This is actually the largest moth in North America with the largest wingspan. So this one is not alive at the moment, but they are this big when they're alive flying around. And these guys start their life off as a caterpillar. I'm sure we all know that. Nod your head if you know that caterpillars turn into moths and butterflies. Yeah, I think we all know that. Okay. So it starts off as a caterpillar. The caterpillars are huge. Sometimes they can get as big as my hand. They're giant, giant, big fat caterpillars. They eat as much food as they can find, get nice and fat, and then they go through metamorphosis. They change their body shape and become a moth or a butterfly. So when these guys go through metamorphosis, they're actually spinning themselves a cocoon. So this is what the cocoon looks like. So it also has good camouflage because when the caterpillar is going through metamorphosis, it can't protect itself because some of the time it doesn't look like a caterpillar anymore. It's kind of just like a liquid thing inside here. So it has to make this so it blends in with its surroundings to make sure no one eats it while it's going through metamorphosis. So this is the cocoon, and then after it comes out of the cocoon and looks like this big, beautiful moth, the moth does not have a mouth. And I know that's really weird sounding. It doesn't have a mouth. It doesn't eat at all. So all it does is live off the fat that it's stored up from being a caterpillar. So that's why you guys see caterpillars eating so much food all the time, so many leaves all the time, because some of the adults, after they go through metamorphosis, aren't going to eat anything. It's very strange. So these adult moths, they're huge and impressive, but they only live for about a week or two. And then once they used up all that energy, all the fat from being a caterpillar, that's the end of their life. And hopefully that's enough time to find a mate and then lay some eggs, which is good, because that means there's going to be more caterpillars the next year. So raise your hand if you've seen a moth like this or one about this big in the wild. Oh my gosh, so many of you guys have. That's awesome. See, I never have because these guys only live on the East Coast. So you guys are super lucky to have seen it because remember, they only live for about a week or two. So a lot of times people find them after they're at the end of their life. So after they've already lived for those about 2 weeks. But still, if you guys have seen it, lucky for you. Someday, hopefully I will. I'll come visit you guys one day and then maybe find one. All right, so biggest moth found in North America. Okay, now we're going to leave North America and we're going to go south, down into South America. There's a lot of different insects and arachnids found in South America. We're just going to talk about 2 of them, though. Male first. So the first we're going to talk about is a type of insect that looks a lot like a stick bug. You see this? So found in South America, found in Ecuador. This guy right here looks exactly like a stick bug. It eats leaves just like a stick bug does. Stick bugs are vegetarians, and it's got that great camouflage, but it's not actually a stick bug. I'm going to see if he will do something for me. If I pinch him on the bum very lightly, let's see what's going to happen. Did you guys see that? Hopefully you kind of saw that. He jumped off my hand and jumped at the computer. So when this guy's scared, he actually jumps away from a predator. And what other bugs jump when they get scared? I'm sure you guys have seen them. Crickets and grasshoppers. So this is actually a type of grasshopper who has just evolved to look exactly like a stick bug. So this one here is a boy. I'm going to show you the girl because the girls are actually much, much bigger than the boys. So the little boy, this guy here who jumped at the camera, he's little and green, and then this is what a girl looks like. So she is much, much larger. She's almost as big as my hand is. So the girls are much larger, usually with many, many insects. They're a lot larger because the girls are the ones who lay eggs. They have to be much bigger because they need more energy for laying eggs than the boys do. Boys don't lay eggs. They can be a lot smaller. So girl and boy. Girls much bigger. Girls can also jump, just not quite as far as the boys because the boys are smaller. So they can jump further. So it's actually a grasshopper, it just looks like a stick bug. So the next thing I'm going to show you is also from South America. This thing is from Chile. And what I have for you guys is a tarantula. I know a lot of people don't really like tarantulas, but I'm super excited to show you this lovely lady. She is super sweet. So 1 second, I just have to grab her. I'll be right back with her, okay? Hey there. All right, so here I have my friend. Her name is Marie. Ooh, can everyone see her? This is a big spider, I know. So she is a Chilean rose hair tarantula. So in the wild, they are found in South America, like I said, but they're actually really popular as people's pets. I don't know if any of you guys would want a pet tarantula. I actually have a few because I really like spiders. But this lady here is super, super friendly. So in the wild, these guys, when they're not very used to people, they defend themselves by usually running away. They can be very, very fast. So they run away when they're scared. The second thing they can do when they're scared, if a bird's trying to eat them or if they see a person that's trying to catch them, you see on her bum, see her abdomen there? It's nice and fuzzy. She's got a lot of hair on her back end here. Some of those hairs are kind of like a porcupine quill. If anyone's seen a porcupine or heard of a porcupine, they have those spines that they can stick into their predator's face. These hairs on her back end are kind of like that. She can shoot them off her body, flick them into the face, whatever's trying to eat her, and it feels really, really itchy. Not very good. And then hopefully the predator will go away. And then as a last resort, if that doesn't work and something is really trying to eat a tarantula like Marie, then she can rear up and put her legs way up in the air, try to look scary, and then she could bite. But her bite to a person would feel kind of like a bee sting, so not super bad. If you guys have been stung by a bee, it's not nice, but not the end of the world. So even though she looks really big and impressive, her bite is not really that strong. She's so big that she's basically able to overpower and eat whatever she wants to just because she's so big. She doesn't need to have really, really strong venom. So this girl is super friendly. She's been at the bug zoo for years. That's why she knows that I'm not a threat. She's not going to try to run away from me. She's not going to try to flick hairs at me even because she knows I'm not trying to eat her. And then right at the back of her body, sometimes you can see these looks like little tiny horns at the back of her body. Those little things there are actually her spinnerets. So tarantulas can make silk, can weave web, just like other spiders do. They just don't do it as often. They normally don't do it to catch food. They just do it to make themselves comfy. They make themselves a nice little bed out of silk. So I hope you guys like this lovely lady. I know she's a big girl, but she's actually a very, very friendly spider. All right, so I'm going to put her back real quick, and then we're going to move on to another continent, talk about some more animals. Just 1 second, let me put her back. I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're moving across the Atlantic Ocean. We're going to go over to Europe. And unfortunately, here at the Victoria Bug Zoo, we don't have any animals that are actually found in Europe. I'm so sorry, you guys. But I am going to talk about a black widow, because this is a type of spider that widows and their relatives are found on every single continent. So if I talk about a black widow, there are their relatives in Europe. So raise your hand if you have heard of a black widow before. Oh, yes, I thought so. Raise your hand if you have seen a black widow before. A few of us, okay. They are found all over North America, even in Canada. So they're found all over North America. They are the most venomous spider in North America. So they have a very strong bite. They're actually able to eat things that are 3 times their size. So if a black widow, like this one right here, let's see if we can see her. She's right up here, this big black spot there. So you see how big she is. She's able to eat something 3 or 4 times bigger than herself because her venom is so strong. And of course, she will bite when she gets scared too. She doesn't want to get eaten by anything, so if something scares her, she will bite as well. So she's got that very, very strong venom. You can tell that she is a black widow because you can't really see it right here, but she has a red mark on her abdomen, right on her tummy. Maybe you can kind of see it. So all black widows will have some sort of red mark on their belly. So sometimes that's hard to see. So if you ever see a big black spider wandering around, don't pick it up and flip it over, okay? Because it might think you're trying to eat it and it might bite you. And if it is a black widow, that can be very bad. Some people have to go to the hospital after they get bit by a black widow. Some people spend days in the hospital. It can be very, very painful. Like the worst flu of your life. I'm sure we've all gotten sick before. Imagine that times 20. But then I've also heard stories that some people get bit by a black widow and they say it feels kind of like a bee sting or a wasp sting, and that is it. So it totally depends on the person, how strong and healthy the person is, how they're going to react to a black widow bite. But I really hope none of you guys stick your fingers in black widow webs. Don't pick up any big black spiders, because if you're the type of person who reacts badly, it can be very, very bad. But you might see these guys. Like I said, they're found all over North America. They're very large, big black spiders. They'll eat basically anything they find, and they have a nice tangly web. They don't make those nice big wheel webs like you see like the orb weavers. It's a nice tangly web, normally in an outhouse or wood shack or something like that. Just don't stick your finger in there and you'll be okay. Okay, so widows and their relatives are found all over, including Europe. And now, we are going to change continents again. We're going to go south down into Africa. There's some really, really amazing insects and arachnids that are found in Africa. We're going to talk about a scorpion. A scorpion, those are other animals that not a lot of people like. They've gotten a bad rap, especially in movies. They always make the scorpions look gigantic, and they're always really mean, stinging people. But scorpions, they would only sting when they got scared. So if you see a scorpion, it's not just going to come up and sting you because it can't eat you. It's not going to do that. But let me show you one of the largest types of scorpions in the whole world. This right here is an emperor scorpion found all through Africa. So this one right here is not alive, unfortunately, but I did want to show you all the different parts of the scorpion, so this is easier for me. So emperor scorpions, you can hold them. It's totally fine to hold them when they're used to people, when they know that you're not a threat to them. They're not going to do anything bad. And you see how big their pinchers are? If they did get scared, like if this one was in the wild and I picked it up, it would probably try to pinch me. And there's a lot of muscle in here, so a pinch can be very, very painful. And then you see the stinger. Can everyone see the stinger right up here? That stinger, it does have venom. All scorpions do have venom to protect themselves and to catch food. But this stinger on the emperor scorpion here, it's such a big scorpion with big claws, the stinger wouldn't really be that bad. It'd probably be less painful than a bee sting again. So not super bad. Instead, it's catching food by pinching, and it's protecting itself by pinching. But then some scorpions, you guys might have even seen little scorpions. Some scorpions, they're only like this big, full grown. So a scorpion that little normally has really little tiny claws. It's not going to be able to pinch you to make you go away. So instead, it has a very strong sting to make up for the tiny pinch. So it just depends how large the claws are on a scorpion, how venomous it is. But normally, the little tiny scorpions are going to be more venomous than a big scorpion because they can't pinch. So just remember that. If you see a little scorpion, you probably don't want to pick it up. Probably don't want to pick up a big one either in the wild. But the big ones are the ones that sometimes people keep as pets because their sting's not that bad. And when they're used to people, they're not really going to pinch you because they know that you're the one who's giving them food, so they like you. Everything likes to get fed. All right, so emperor scorpion, largest species in the world. And yeah, just remember, like I said, in movies, they make scorpions look like this big. No. They can get a little bit bigger than this one right here. Some of the females are a bit bigger, but this is as big as scorpions get. Not super, super large like in the movies. Okay, so that was an arachnid from Africa. Now we're going to talk about an insect found in Africa. Just one second, let me grab it. So this is another stick insect, but it's a very unique stick insect. This is from Madagascar. Can you see that? It looks just like a little twig, and it has very good camouflage to make sure no one eats it. Madagascar is the big island off the southern coast of Africa. I'm sure you guys have all seen the movie Madagascar. Yeah. This guy was probably in the movie. You just couldn't see it because he has really good camouflage. So this one here has camouflage to keep himself safe. There is something extra special about this type of stick insect to keep it safe. It is actually called a Tinkerbell bug because look at this. Oh my goodness, isn't that beautiful? It's called a Tinkerbell bug because it has these beautiful, beautiful wings. It is able to fly away when it gets scared. It's also able to fly to find more food or to find a mate, whatever it needs to do. So they're actually very, very good flyers. This one earlier was actually flying all around my head. I'm surprised you guys didn't see it. So they can fly a lot when they want to. She's actually trying to fly away from me right now. But she's a beautiful, beautiful lady, very, very delicate wings on her. So we have to be very careful with stick bugs like this to make sure their wings don't get broken or anything. But very beautiful. Her defenses are her camouflage and being able to escape by flying very quickly. Okay, I'm going to put this little girl away before she actually flies away again. And now we're going to move on from Africa. We're going to go over to Asia, and we're going to talk about our last insects. So, in Asia, especially Southeast Asia, there are a lot of very large bugs because in the rainforest there's always food for the bugs. It's always warm and there's always food. So that means they don't have to, deal with winters. A lot of bugs here, you guys know, they die off in the wintertime. In Southeast Asia, they don't have to do that. They can live all year long, and there's food for them all year long, especially if they're a vegetarian. There's leaves all year long. So this, what I have in my hand right here, is actually the second longest type of stick insect in the world. I'm going to have to scoot back a little bit so you guys can see it. So this is from Southeast Asia. Oh my goodness, can everyone see that? So second longest type of insect in the whole world. Just called a giant walking stick because it's a giant walking stick. It's amazing. And because it is a stick insect, like I said, vegetarian. It's only going to eat leaves. When it hatches out of the egg, it's teeny tiny. They're really, really small. And then they molt to get bigger. Remember that exoskeleton, taking off the exoskeleton? They're going to molt to get larger, and they're going to get full grown in less than 1 year because their entire life is less than 2 years. It's kind of sad because they're such a large animal. They're going to live less than 2 years, but they have lots and lots of babies, so there's always stick bugs around. So very large, very beautiful, but they're only going to live about 1.5 years. But they are amazing. Their defense is obviously their camouflage. I think they look kind of like bamboo almost, with the little lines on their body there. They are found in Southeast Asia where there is bamboo. And these guys can do something kind of funny when they get scared. They actually lose their legs. Just how some lizards will lose their tails. Raise your hand if you've heard about lizards losing their tails, or maybe even seen it. A few of us? Okay. So some lizards will lose their tails and then grow it back. And they lose their tails, or these guys lose their legs, because it's better to lose a leg than to be eaten by a predator. So they lose their legs, they still have 5 more legs, and it does grow back when they're young, which is good. So very cool defense, very, very impressive bug. So I think we went through all of the continents except for Antarctica, but Antarctica doesn't have any really cool bugs, unfortunately, because it's snowy all year long. So we're not going to talk about Antarctica. But we talked about different examples of insects and arachnids all over the world. I hope you guys had lots of fun. I hope you could see all these guys. I'll show you a few more just in my hands as I'm answering questions. But thank you so much for listening, and I really hope you saw the diversity of insects and how amazing they are and how they're really not as scary as some people make them out to be. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So that was awesome, Emily. I also, all the bugs are really, really cool. I love when the tarantula came out. There were kids doing this. There were kids doing this. Those are just the best. And there was a little note that said very cool, too. So all the better. So yeah, guys,
Awesome.
we begin the question and answer period now. So I'm going to go through each class and unmute your mic one by one. And then you guys can ask a question to Emily while she holds a few more bugs. So I'm going to start out with Miss Searson's class from Douglas, Ontario. So if you guys want to come and ask a question, go right ahead.
Go ahead and ask that.
Where are the tarantula's eyes?
Ooh, where are the tarantula's eyes? That is a very good question. Their eyes are on the front part of their body. Tarantulas and other spiders, they have 2 parts of their body. One is the head part, and one is the bum part, the abdomen. So it's on the head, right at the front of its body. Maybe I'll grab her in just a second to show you, but it's right near the front of her body. You can see kind of where her fangs are. Her eyes are right above there, but she actually doesn't have very good eyesight. Tarantulas, they don't catch their food using their eyesight. They actually catch their food by using the hairs that are all over their body, and they sense and smell and feel their way around instead of looking to find their food. So they do have eyes, but they're not very good. I'll try to show you in a second if I get her out again. Thank you for that question.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go to Mr. Hong's class now. If you guys want to ask away, go right ahead.
Why is it important to learn about insects?
Ooh, I think it is very important to learn about insects because there's just so many of them. So insects are the most abundant animal on the planet. Beetles, I'm sure everyone has seen tons of beetles in their lifetime. 1 in every 4 living thing on the planet is a beetle. So if you don't know about them, then you don't know about a fourth of the living things on the planet. It's amazing. So insects are found, like I said, on every single continent, every single ecosystem, and they do some really important things. A lot of them are decomposers. So what they're doing is breaking down matter and making new soil. A lot of them are predators, so they keep other animals in check. A lot of them are herbivores, so they eat a whole bunch of leaves and keep plants in check. So they do basically everything in an ecosystem. So that's why I think they're so important. There's so many of them, and they do everything that we don't really do. They're eating everything possible. Thank you for that question.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to go to Miss Haber's class now.
Okay, I was just going to ask a question. Here, come over here, right here. Go ahead.
If you see a small tarantula, if you blow on it, does it pinch you?
So if you see a small tarantula, would it pinch you? I don't think so. If you just saw a small tarantula or even just another small spider, it's not going to come up and bite you or anything unless you make it scared, because a tarantula or a spider's bite is going to be how it defends itself. And if it doesn't feel scared, then it's not going to bite you. And just one more thing on that. It takes a lot of energy for a spider to make its venom. So it's not going to want to waste its venom on something like you, because it can't eat you. It knows it can't eat you. So why does it want to bite you and waste all that venom? Then it's going to have to spend more time making more venom just in case a little bug comes by that it does want to eat. So normally spiders are only biting if they get scared. So of course you don't want to pick up a spider and scare it, because then it could bite you. But if you just see one walking around, it's totally fine. It's not going to come up and bite you. But that's a very good question. A lot of people are scared of them because they're fast and that sort of thing. But if you leave them alone, they're going to completely leave you alone as well. Thank you for that question.
Awesome. All right, so we'll go to Miss Martin's class now.
Here we go. Come on, Hania. How many bugs do you have at the zoo?
Oh, that's a good question. How many bugs do I have at the Victoria Bug Zoo? So we have over 50 species of bugs, so over 50 different types of insects and arachnids, and we have an ant colony here that actually has 2 million ants in it. So individual bugs, we have over 2 million of them. It's amazing. So there's a lot of different diversity here. I only showed you a few of them because we don't have too much time. But if you guys, like I said, are ever in Victoria, please come by. You can see tons of them. You can hold them all here at the zoo as well, because we're trying to show people that they're not scary. Look at this thing. A lot of people think that this might be kind of scary if they first saw it, but it's really not. She's such a sweetie. Oh, I think she might wave to us too. So good question. We've got lots and lots of bugs here at the Bug Zoo.
Awesome. All right, so you'll have to demute your own mic, but we can go to Miss Murray's class in Ohio.
What bug are you most scared of?
What bug am I most scared of? So I would have to say sometimes small spiders scare me because they're really fast. Here in Victoria, we have something that's called a hobo spider. It's a little tiny spider that likes to live in people's houses. Well, not really tiny, but it's about this big. And they're really, really fast because they hunt with their eyesight. So they're a visual predator, kind of like a wolf spider, if anyone's seen a wolf spider. So they're very fast. And sometimes when they're in my house, I don't really want them in my house, but they're too fast for me to catch them. And then sometimes I get startled when they're running around and stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily scared of them. They just startle me, I'll say. But I know it's not going to hurt me, so it's okay, but they are startling, definitely. Thank you for asking that.
Awesome. All right, and finally we'll go to Miss McDonald's class, and then I think we'll have time for one more question from everyone too. So Miss McDonald's class, if you want to demute your own mic, that would be lovely.
Okay, go ahead, Mohammed.
The bugs fight.
You bugs fight? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I have this guy in my hand right now. Bugs fight all the time, definitely, because a lot of bugs are in competition with other bugs. So if there's only a certain amount of food and there's a lot of bugs around, they're going to fight each other to get that food. That's an example of that would be ants. Ants in different colonies are going to fight each other all the time to make sure they get the best food. And then this guy in my hand right here, this is a live bug right here. This is a beetle from Southeast Asia called an atlas beetle, one of the largest in the world. You see these big horns on his head? He has those because he fights other boy beetles to get a girlfriend. So very, very good question. He is going to grab all the boys with these big fat horns, and he's going to try to flip them on their back or throw them off logs, that sort of thing, to make sure he can mate with a female. So usually it's boy bugs who are fighting because they want to get a mate. So any big beetles with horns like this or jaws, they are going to be fighting with each other definitely. So any of the bugs that do fight, we make sure we only have one per cage, because then they're just going to fight all day long. Good question.
All right, awesome. So let's go back to Ms. Searson's class, and we'll do one more round of questions from everyone, okay?
What are the predators of stick bugs from Asia?
Oh, good question. What are the predators of stick bugs from Asia? That really big one that you saw, when it's full grown, I don't think many things try to eat it because it's so big. Maybe a large bird, if there was a large bird, but the babies are really small. So the baby stick insects are only going to be about this big, and basically any predator is going to eat them then. Like even a small mouse, other insects that are predators, like a praying mantis, or some beetles are predators. Spiders are definitely going to try to eat the babies and the juveniles. But once they get to be about this big, spiders can't eat something like that. So once a stick insect is about this big, it's mostly going to be birds trying to eat it. And when they're full grown, maybe nothing's trying to eat it because it's so big. But good question. When they're young, it's usually going to be spiders or other predatory insects trying to eat them.
Awesome. All right, to Mr. Holmes' class.
Why do black widow spiders have red marks on their back?
Good question.
Ooh, that is a very good question. I'm not really sure about that. A lot of times in nature, a red color or an orange color means poisonous. So like a bee, everyone has seen a bee or a hornet. That yellow color on it is trying to warn a predator not to eat it. It's saying, hey, I'm poisonous. I can defend myself. So maybe that's why the black widow has the red mark on it. It's trying to warn things not to eat it, but I'm not really sure. A lot of spiders do have that red color, and usually they have pretty strong bites. So maybe that's a reason. Thank you for asking that, though.
I think he was very excited about your millipede there. That was awesome.
This is a very large millipede, also from
very large millipede. All right, so I'll go back to Miss Haver's class now. Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. It's not. There we go. Try again.
Louder.
What do tarantulas eat?
Very good question. What do tarantulas eat? Tarantulas are predators. So tarantulas eat smaller animals. The tarantulas that live here at the bug zoo, they mainly are just eating crickets, because crickets are found all over the world in the wild, so they actually in the wild be eating a lot of crickets as well. But some tarantulas are so big they could eat something like a little frog, a lizard, even a small mouse. So some tarantulas are able to eat anything smaller than them, even a mouse. But basically, it's going to be small insects most of the time, or small spiders.
I'm sensing a trend that people like the tarantula. I get the tarantula.
Oh, yes, yes.
Tarantula love among everyone. All right, so we'll go back to Miss Martin's class.
What's the smallest bug you have?
Ooh, that's a really good question. What's the smallest bug that we have? Here at the bug zoo, we really like big bugs. We have a lot of really, really big bugs. But we sometimes get aphids here at the bug zoo that come in with our plants. So we have aphids sometimes. They're teeny, teeny, tiny. They drink plant juice. And then we also have, I'm trying to think, I guess our ants. We have a big ant colony here. That's a leafcutter ant colony. And the ants are pretty small, especially when they're not a soldier. They can be teeny tiny. So I think the ants would be the smallest insect that we have here, but we have the most of them. We have 2 million of them. So they take up a lot of space, even though they're really, really small. Thanks for that question.
Excellent. So go back to Miss Missy one more time.
How old do the
Can you repeat that real quick?
How old do the bugs get?
Ooh, really good question. How old do the bugs get? So, do you remember how I was telling you about that really big stick insect that only lives about 2 years? Most stick bugs live about 1 to 2 years, but tarantulas, like Marie that I had out for you guys, she can actually live to be 25 or 30 years old. So big tarantulas can live a very long time. But things like a beetle or a stick insect, they're normally not going to live very many years. But tarantulas are going to live much, much longer than that. So good question. So it does depend on the type of animal, but some of them not very long at all. And then remember that moth? The adult moth only lives for 2 weeks. So some bugs don't live very long at all. But they definitely do their job. They eat whatever they have to eat, make more babies, which is good. This right here, by the way, is the largest type of spider in the world. It's called the Goliath bird eater. And you can see her teeth right there. She's got some pretty big teeth.
Awesome. All right. And we'll end it off with one more question from Miss McDonald, and then we can all thank Emily together. So if Miss McDonald's class wants to ask one more, go right ahead.
What's your favorite bug?
Ooh, that is such a good question. And I love all of them for different reasons. But I think I had in my hand before a really big stick insect, the one that was looking at the camera. I think that's one of my favorites. It's called a thorny devil stick insect. And I really like it because it's a stick bug, but it looks really impressive. It's got spikes all over its body. It feels almost like holding a big crab or something. So it looks really impressive and kind of scary. Some people don't really like looking at them, but they're really, really gentle. They just walk around. Sometimes they give you a little kiss. So I think that's my favorite because it's an awesome stick bug. So a thorny devil stick insect, I would say.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Emily. I'm going to demute everyone's microphones so they can all say hi together. So you guys want to give a big shout out in just 2 seconds. We will get that going. All right. They're already at the camera. I can't even get to the microphone in time.
So we should say thank you.
Bug hats, bug on. Everyone get the bug hats. Awesome, guys. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for another exciting session of Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. We've got a few more hangouts in May, and I'm excited to say on World Oceans Day on June 8th, we have this huge, amazing day planned. We have dozens of speakers from around the world, so it's a great chance to get your class back and exploring by the seat of their pants one more time. Thank you so much for saying bye to Emily, and have a lovely rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the school day, guys. Thanks so much.
Leave it some bugs when you see them, guys.
Bye.